I'm really excited about our next speaker, Veli-Pekka of Firstbit, who will tell you all about their solutions, monitoring load and heart rate, and how to use that in optimizing performance. I would really like to give the word to Veli-Pekka.
Okay, hopefully you can see my screen now. And thank you, Rick, and it's a pleasure to be here telling more about the physiological performance management in team sports and what is Firstbit's approach to the topic. Just first a few words about my background and company background before we go on to this performance management. I had a passion to be a professional cross-country skier. I was dreaming about being a world champion and Olympic medalist in cross-country skiing. I was training seriously for 10 years, but I never get to the top. But that was my passion to be involved in a professional sports, and that's the reason why I also started studying sports sciences at the University of Jyväskylä. And when kind of realizing that I may not get my living by being a professional athlete, and while studying at the same time, there was an open position at Firstbit as an exercise physiologist in 2005. So then I signed for Firstbit, and I've been now there for 17 years. And at Firstbit, I started the professional sports business unit. So definitely what I love to do is being involved with the professional sports and with different sports and teams. About Firstbit, so we are, you can say that we are pioneer in physiological analytics. We've been up and running for more than 20 years, founded in Jyväskylä, Finland as a spin-off from research. And we are the leading provider of this professional grade physiological data and analytics for wellness and sports. Our features and analytics have been embedded into more than 50 million consumer devices. Our system has been used in hundreds of peer-reviewed scientific publications, and we also do in-house research with our existing database, which now comprises about 3 million training and recovery measurements, on-field measurements in elite sports. Currently, Firstbit has roughly 80 employees located in Europe and in USA. And we are focusing on B2B solutions, so elite sports and corporate wellness sector. In 2020, we still had our consumer licensing business unit, but that was acquired by Garmin. So now we are fully in this B2B SaaS business. The system, what I'm sharing some examples, is this called Firstbit Sports system. That's consists of a sensor that can track heart rate, acceleration data, and you can see everything in real time using the dedicated app for coaches and athletes. And then all data is cloud-based, where you can see all the detailed data analysis, measurement history. And we know that this system is a crucial part of the coaching, but not the whole. It can't do all. So it's very important we also are part of the coaching ecosystem. And with the API, you can get our data synchronized to Kinduct or some other AMS platforms. But yeah, then going to the actual topic, performance in team sport. If we define that, what is a good performance? It's at first sounds like a simple question. What matters is that do we win? Do we get points as a team? But still, like if you break it down, that how many scores you do, or what's the individual player performance? So you need to analyze a bit deeper the performance in sports. And typically it's categorized on technical, tactical, physical, game performance. And none of those alone can explain the good performance, but it's a combination of all of these. And I'm now going to focus more on this physical game performance. And there are different KPIs that normally are used to measure the physical game performance, like distance covered, high intensity running, number of sprints, effort level, can we keep up the intensity, how much fatigue there happens towards end of the game. And it's good to know that these KPIs, they are outcomes of the training, that when we develop our body systems, we get better in our fitness and physiological characteristics. And that's important to measure the internal load, which actually defines the outcomes. And when we improve our physics and our performance, then it's visible in game and in those KPI metrics. When splitting down the physical performance components, they can be, one example is the cardiovascular endurance, strength, speed, power, muscle endurance. But the good question is that if you improve your maximum squat results or maximum running speed or VO2 max, how does the game performance change? Research suggests that within individuals, there are many studies showing that if you improve, for example, your VO2 max, you will generate more movements, you will recover better from the sprints, and this way end up doing more sprints or keeping the intensity throughout the game. But also the same physical performance KPIs can be reached with different physical characteristics. So it's not always about just that improving the certain quality will lead to the better physical performance in game. So I think coaches needs to take the individualized approach and analyzing different variables, that are they limiting the performance, are they good enough, or do we want them to be a competitive advantage in the field? Because all features and physical characteristics can be improved, but then that's the thing what coaches takes into account when planning the individualized plans. But definitely we need to maximize the performance potential the athletes have at that moment. And I'm going through some case examples linked to this coaching process, that first you have a plan, you execute the plan, you verify how is it working, you adjust the plan, and this way you will reach the better performance. And this is the kind of reason for our existence and our purpose as a company and a sports business unit is that we want to provide these physiological insights to the coaches so that they can make informed coaching decisions and get confidence in doing those decisions in the field. So this is an example that, like when the coaches have done a plan for the training, and then evaluating, are we ready to train hard today? This is our system provides information on training load, meaning acute and chronic training load and the ratio, recovery levels, and then as a sum of those, kind of a training status. And that's break down into individual level. But in this example, the recovery is good. Actually, the acute load is a bit down. So definitely they are ready to add some load and do the hardest session of the week. So in this example, they will do like a high intensity or metabolic day, some warm up with the med ball and core exercises, jumps, then moving into this aerobic and anaerobic sprints, 12 times 30 seconds, 12 times 15 seconds, and then cool down. So it's supposed to be very hard training session. Then when the plan is clear, doing it and executing it in the practice, so you can monitor in real time different metrics that you are familiar with. For example, you can select what if you want to see the aerobic training effect or anaerobic training effect, which is a kind of one number tells how hard is the session from 0 to 5. You can see high intensity time spent in high intensity zone. You can see trim per minute to see the intensity and density of the workout, and also some acceleration based movement load and movement load intensity. But this is what you can see in the field while the athletes are doing the sessions in real time. Afterwards, when you verify the session, that how did it go, did all reach the target set for the training. So this is an example of 3 persons doing the same workout what I explained in the first planning chart. So if you look the upper picture, there's a training effect 5, overreaching, so you don't get higher than that. When looking at the heart rate chart, it's all the time in the red zone. So definitely it was hard, but maybe even too hard, and we can see that the athlete is not recovering between sprints. So he's generating fatigue, but what is the actual movement they are producing, or is it productive anymore? While the middle chart looks like an optimal for this workout. So training effect 4.5, highly improving, but when we look the heart rate chart, it's actually you get into the red zone or close to maximum in every sprint, but you recover between. And even when you shift from 30-second sprints to 15-second sprints, there's a recovery break, and you can see that epoch accumulation decreases, so that you will gain some resources and are ready to hit hard again in those next drills. While the lowest picture of the chart shows that maybe it was improving 3.8, but when we look the heart rate effort, there's hardly any red color. So always the last sessions of each set of drills, they will get to, or the player will get to the red zone, but maybe if the purpose was to be really demanding and hard workout, maybe the effort should have been higher, or there was other reasons to take it more easier. But this is something that you can observe already during the workout to make sure that players are reaching the targets. And this is an example where changes have been made, game-specific training in soccer, and this first player on the left, he still got training effect 4, but based on his training status at that moment and training history, they didn't want this player to reach higher number, because that would add too much on the recovery needs, and this was enough for him. So when he hit the 4.0, he was quitting the training in middle, or didn't do the latter part of the session, while the other player who was ready to train hard, and there wasn't no reason to take him out during the session, so he continued and got 4.9 as a training effect. So fine-tuning the load optimally to each individual player, and that's when it's added with the sufficient recovery, then according to supercompensation theory, the fitness will improve, and that is likely to be seen as an improvement movement in the game and improved game performance. But what is a challenge when we think team sport and being in season, so that the players, if we count all the season games, playoffs or final games, tournaments, or the cups, national duties, so they can play 60 to 90 games in a season, and that's very heavy load and sets challenges for the recovery. And this is one just example study showing that how actually the fitness increases from pre-season to mid-season in soccer, but for the first squad players who have high minutes, but then the game load becomes too loading for them, and actually the fitness starts to plateau or decrease towards end of the season. While the substitute players, the game load is not enough for them towards mid-season, but then they start actually improving the fitness. So this suggests that the game season is very demanding, and there's challenges to keep the performance up throughout the even 5 months season. And the same we have seen in our own data, that ability to recover decreases during the season. This is an example of the ice hockey team who started the season in September, and we monitored them towards the end of December. And when we looked the overnight recovery, like a game day and game day +1, so we can see that in game day +1, typically the players at the beginning of the season, they will get to the 80% of their personal recovery or optimal recovery level. But then it starts to decrease throughout the season, and this is a challenge, that how you can adjust your training to cope with the load. And there's no magic tricks how you can keep up the performance throughout the whole season. But what is typical, that or the best way how to prepare for the season is just to make sure that the off season and pre-season the load is high enough, that you build your aerobic base, that you can tolerate the game rhythm. Because what happens that if in off season you train too little, or you don't know how your players are training in that time, so that no tools to do the remote coaching or the monitoring, then when the preseason start, they have difficulties in adapting to team training, difficult to find the balance between training load and recovery. And then of course when the season gets further, the fitness improves, but it can also start to plateau, and then when the final games comes, like the performance is not optimal anymore. So best preparation is to focus on building the high loads in the early of the season, and have a progressive approach. And the monitoring can help in this process by knowing exactly what each individual is doing, and then prescribing the right training load and recovery for those. Okay, that was that was my slides about the topic. Happy to answer any questions you have. You can also contact me directly, sports@firstbit.com, and you can visit our website to get more information on how we do the internal load tracking and recovery monitoring.
Have you done this analysis synchronized skaters?
No, we synchronized skaters. I don't think we have much experience on that sport.
Okay.
Many sports we have worked with, but I don't recall that we would have data from that sport.
Okay. That's a pity then for Minja. But second question, what measurements do you take into account to measure the load?
To measure the load, so for the internal load, we have different variables, like the training effect, which is based on, we have aerobic and anaerobic training effect. And for the aerobic, we estimate the epoch accumulation. There's epoch is kind of, if you would measure it in laboratory, means that after the training, when you stop exercising, you measure your breathing gases and how much extra oxygen you need to breathe until your metabolism returns to the baseline. And this is what we have modeled during the session, based on intensity and duration, that how epoch accumulates. And then this number is accumulated into the training effect. So it's direct interpretation. But regarding the anaerobic side, so there's a more complex mathematical model in the background that we identify different intervals during the session, see the work and rest ratio, what's the peak intensity of those workouts or those sprints, and this way try to match how much there are anaerobic effort in the training, and then the same that we then convert that into the easily understandable number from 0 to 5, that how demanding it is for the anaerobic metabolism.
Yeah, makes sense. Next question. When are you adding a movement load to the training report?
That's a good question. We are currently kind of renewing our reporting, and this is the way that currently the coaches and athletes will get the PDF report automatically. It's kind of, we haven't added all the latest metrics there, but I would say that hopefully we can see that this in this year still. The plan is that some communication will be done immediately via the apps, also, that instead of having the PDF report, you can open the summary report and customized report in the dashboard or in the app itself, because we feel that the next phase is that we need to do it customizable way, that you can select what are the key metrics for you, and then you will get the report based on those, and definitely movement load is something that we are adding, and also we are kind of currently developing joint studying that how to combine external and internal load, and providing some sort of efficiency index or some interpretation of these two metrics. So that definitely this is in our scope at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Next question. Do you also take into account the mechanical load of the musculoskeletal system?
We don't currently. So well, only thing what like acceleration data what we utilize is the movement. So all movements in X, Y, Z levels, and that is summarized together as a movement load. But yeah, we don't take, and also like that's a good, important thing to monitor also on recovery point of view, that our recovery monitoring is based on the heart rate variability and autonomic nervous system, but the neuromuscular function, this is something that definitely should be somehow monitored, but this is where our system is not focused at the moment.
No. Okay, thanks. Next question, is the metric movement efficiency also coming in the future? Movement
Yes.
efficiency.
Yeah, that is coming. We are currently kind of collecting data and analyzing it, and with some experiment teams trying to understand more about the movement efficiency. And like currently our customers are doing it by themselves, dividing movement load by trim, for example. So you get the ratio between external and internal load. But we feel that there's still a lot of developments to do, that it's have some filters and making it more streamlined usage. But definitely this is in our plans.
Yeah, nice. Last question. Will you use new hardware for external load?
Currently, well, I would say that we use current devices that previously we had a team receiver and belts that you were doing the heart rate monitoring, but 2 years ago we changed into the more mobile system and this sport sensor, which has embedded accelerations and the memory for heart rate data. And this is what we are currently using, and this will include also the movement load analysis.
Yep. Those were all the questions. Nice that still a few came through on my screen. I guess that's where it went wrong. But thanks a lot, Veli-Pekka, for the clear explanation, nice presentation, and answering all the questions.